Oh, welcome back, everybody, to the Raider roster report. This is Raider Sparks coming at you today. We're going to talk about prospects in this upcoming draft for the safety position. We're just days away now from the combine, and so far we've here at the Raider roster report. And thanks everybody again for subscribing. Please like, share, subscribe. Definitely comment. Love to hear what Raider Nation has to say about all these prospects and just about the team and the roster in general. So yeah, keep the comments going. Please keep sharing. The channel's growing, and love to see it. So keep it up. Thanks a lot for everything. But yeah, well let's get into it. So far, I've kind of went in order of what I think right now the biggest needs are pre free agency, pre combine, that type of thing. And so far, I've got we've done the receivers, the cornerbacks, the defensive line, offensive line, linebacker, outside linebacker. Today we'll do the safeties. And then before the combine gets here, we just have a few days left. I'll go over the running back prospects, tight end prospects, and the quarterback prospects as well to kind of finish it off. But yeah, so I've done my current top 10 at number 22. And today I'll reveal the final member of that group, number 8 on my list. So far it's David Ojabo. So if the draft was held today, we had no free agency, nothing else. If at 22, if David Ojabo happened to be there, that would be my number 1 pick. And then if he wasn't there, if Trayvon Walker was there, I'd take him. If he wasn't there, I'd take Sauce Gardner. If he wasn't there, I'd take Derrick Stingley. If he wasn't there, I'd take Traylon Burks. If he wasn't there, I'd take Kenyon Green. If he wasn't there, I'd take Devontae Wyatt. And if he wasn't there, I would take Daxton Hill, who we're going to talk about now in a minute, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And then to round out the top 10 at 22 would be Drake London and Kyler Gordon, assuming no trade backs, nothing like that. If we just had to pick at 22, and that would be the order in which I would do it. I think those would be orders of best players, best healing players, best upside, and obviously considering positional value and team need as well. I think that's kind of the way I would rank it right now for the Raiders. But let's talk about the next guy, Daxton Hill, and why he's on that list. I know a lot of mock drafts have him low. Positional value, obviously, safety kind of goes a little later, and we'll just talk real quick. So Kyle Hamilton, I will not be there at 22. I just put that out there. And then you got other guys like Brisker, who to me is more like a Jonathan Abrams. He's a good safety. He's a potential number 1 pick, but he cannot cover. Lewis Seen, he's a pretty good overall player, but not very much ball production. And Daxton Hill doesn't have as much ball production either. And those are the type of safeties that I'm looking for. I should just point out that our safety group, Mooring, is good, but he has trouble catching. We need turnovers. So the safeties I targeted are the ones that seem to have the most ball production. And that could work in a split zone type system, but Lewis Seen just doesn't quite have that as much as Daxton Hill for me. I really like Lewis Seen. I think he's gonna be a good player. Just if I given the choice around that pick, around between our first and second pick, Lewis Seen won't be there either. Dak, it would be between those two. Leon O'Neal, he's all over the map. He's more of a strong safety, nickel linebacker type, but he's a good player as well. But I don't. He's kind of all over. I see him down in like 200 rankings. I see him in the second round, just kind of all over the map. But let's talk about Daxton Hill. First of all, he's going to test out phenomenally at the combine. He's one of the best athletes in this class. He's a safety out of Michigan, and he's 6 foot 192. Last year, 69 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, and 8 pass breakups. So he's around the ball. They use him a lot in coverage, but anytime you watch the film when he actually plays a true safety role, he's super, super intelligent. Not only is he super athletic, but the intelligence is incredible. He's able to use communication, get everybody in the right spot, and he's able to read the quarterback. He's able to come off of his guy, read the play, and go make a play for somebody else to help out. He's good at switching off in his zone. Switching players on and off and things like that. It's just a really intelligent player, super athletic player. You could do some him and Warrior would be. I'm a big fan of Tyree Gillespie. For those of you that watch my channel, it's on video. You can listen to it. He was the one guy. Tyree Gillespie was the one guy that I predicted. No matter what happened in the last draft, the Raiders would come out of the draft with Tyree Gillespie. And sure enough, they traded up to get him. I thought he was that much of a fit. He just had injuries last year, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see him nearly enough. I know Special teams, he played a lot. He actually PFF graded him out pretty well on special teams. So the guy can play, and I think he'll do really well in the split zone. But if we were to get Daxton Hill, our secondary would be amazing with him, Mooring, and obviously Daxton Hill. We'd have a terrific secondary, especially the back end of that secondary would be phenomenal. Daxton Hill, I think, is the top 10 player in the draft. That's what I have on my top 10 list. And I don't see any reason why. I mean, it's overdrafted at 22, so I don't think he's going to go that high. But all things being equal, if we had to pick there, and that pick kind of fell to us, or all of our options were gone at that point, the ones I listed, then Daxton Hill would be a great pickup for this team. But then continue on. I don't really have these in any particular order, just because it's so hard to predict the safeties. But really, what I'm looking for is production and versatility, guys that can cover, guys that can make big plays, interceptions, guys that are around the ball, and guys that are multiple, that can play split, can say single high, could even come up in the box and tackle, that type of thing. So the next guy I have is Kirby Joseph out of Illinois, 6'1", 200 pounds, 57 tackles last year, 1 tackle for loss, 5 interceptions, 2 pass breakups. So a little concerning with Kirby Joseph. He's a junior. Daxton, I should point out, is also a junior, so these guys are young. But Kirby Joseph really 1 year of production, so it's a little bit worrisome. So the combine to me is going to be huge. I definitely want to see some traits that are sort of off the charts, that type of thing, to justify the pick, and not at number 1, or probably not even round 2. We're probably looking more deeper in the draft now, 3, 4, 5 round, that type of thing, and see where he falls with the combine. My guess is he's probably a 3rd round pick, but possibly 2nd round pick. So, anyways, but just around the ball, lock, and tackle, real physical player, 6'1", 200 pounds, so ideal size for one of our split zone safeties, would be a tremendous pickup for us. So somebody to keep an eye on at the combine. Another guy really interested to watch at the combine is Verone McKinley III. He's a redshirt sophomore, 5'11", 193. So another good size guy out of Oregon. 77 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 6 pass breakups. So, I mean, young guy, really solid ball playmaker. Guy that we could definitely use in the back end. Definitely a guy that can play more free safety, so it'll allow Mooring to come up more. We already have guys that could play up near the line of scrimmage with Tyree and Mooring, and if we keep Jacobs, or Abrams. So yeah, but just a guy that can handle the back end really well. Obviously, 6 interceptions is good ball production, but he still had 77 tackles. So this man can play football, and definitely in the day 2 type selection. So. Another guy to keep an eye on that I really like, maybe one of my favorite players, because it's going to be maybe later in the draft, late day 2, early day 3 right now. But I think he's going to test probably off the charts a little bit. Nick Cross, a junior out of Maryland. He could play up in the box. He could play deep. He could pretty much do everything on the football field. Play that nickel backer position even if you wanted him to. 6'1", 215, 66 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, so they did blitz him a little bit, which is good. He can get after quarterback. 3 INTs and 2 pass breakups, so maybe not quite the ball production we would want. He's really good at the line of scrimmage, but can play deep. And so if we were to move on from Abrams, he'd be a good pickup, because he'd still allow Mooring to play a little bit more back end, but still be able to do it himself and come up and make plays, that type of thing. Just a really good, solid player. And so somebody that I've definitely got my eye on, because I think he's going to do well at the combine. So again, a lot of these evaluations come down to the combine to separate these guys out, and then obviously a lot will have to do with free agency and with Abram, what we do with him, depending on where we draft a safety at. But just guys, to kind of keep on your radar. I really like the safety class, actually. There's some good players in this group. JT Woods is another guy at Senior Bowl. He did well. 6'2", 193 out of Baylor. Can play any of the safety positions as well. 57 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 5 INTs. 1 was a pick 6, and then 2 pass breakups. So another big play guy. Definitely can make plays out there for us. Would fit in well in a split zone system. Definitely think somebody the Raiders should be targeting as well. Again, going to come down to that combine and see where these guys fall, where they fall in the draft. So, but another guy I really like is Smoke Monday. Great name, by the way. He's a senior out of Auburn, 6'3", 200 pounds. Can play all over the field. just a really aggressive player. 63 tackles last year, 9 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 INT, 5 pass breakups. In his career, 5 interceptions, 3 were pick sixes, and 2 of those were game-winning pick sixes. So this guy is big play all over him. SEC battle tested, and would be a later round pick for the Raiders. He can play in the box, he can play deep. Very, very good football player. A guy you definitely want to have on your football team. And then a couple other guys just to kind of round it out. If we were to look at maybe a more box type safety, and I think Brian Cook gets a little mislabeled. Brian Cook's an awesome player out of Cincinnati. Plays a lot in the box, but can do both. I think he's a little bit mislabeled, but 6'1", 203 senior out of Cincinnati. 96 tackles last year, 5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups, 1 sack. And everything I've read about this guy, is a pure leader. He's a thumper, and definitely a guy. If he's there in the 5th round, him or the next guy I'll talk about, if one of those are there, I don't care what our need is. I don't care what we've picked or haven't picked. We would pick one of these 2 guys because there's a place on the team for one of these guys. They're thumpers, they're tone setters. They're really good football players, and that's what we're looking for, is really good football players. So if you haven't checked out Brian Cook's film out of Cincinnati, definitely go check it out. He can play that nickel linebacker spot, the safety spot, that type of thing. But just a really good, solid player. I'm definitely going to be watching for his combine results. And the last guy I'll kind of highlight is Juanie Thomas, who I got turned on to at the Shrine game. He had some massive hits at the Shrine game. But this guy's senior, 6'3", 217 out of Georgia Tech, and played a safety role, really close to, and probably should have him close to the box, with a nickel linebacker role as well. So that Jonathan Abram type role. 81 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 INT, and 5 pass breakups. So not just around the ball quite as much, but definitely a tackler. And he was known going into the Shrine Bowl as a guy that's a serious tackler, thumper, wrap up. He guy does not miss tackles. He's got length. Just a super, super player. Like I said, if him or Brian Cook are there in the 5th round, we've got 2 5th-round picks. I don't care the team need. I don't care anything else. We're picking one of these dudes because they can flat out play football. And those are the guys we want on our team. But some other guys, honorable mention, Demarius Mathis out of Pittsburgh, 5'11", 195. He played at the Senior Bowl. When I watched him the first day, I'm like, oh, he's a quarterback, and he's good. I think he was rated best quarterback for man-to-man coverage day one, and it turns out he's a safety. And actually, some boards have him as a corner, some as a safety, but I think he would be more of a nickel cornerback, sort of a Nate Hobbs type role. So late in the draft or UDFA, I think he's going to test that well. So he's got great length. So he's probably a late round pick. So we wanted to get a backup for Nate or somebody to come in and compete with Nate. That would be a guy I would have a look at. Marquis Bell out of South Florida A&M. He played in the NFLPA Bowl. I want to see his measurables and his. I think they'll have a pro day. I'm sure. I just want to see how fast he's at the NFLPA Bowl. I was really wanting to like him, and just a lot of hype going into it. And obviously, he had some a lot of media coverage, that type of thing. I just didn't quite see it during that week, but definitely want to see what he brings to the table as far as the combine. Another guy at the Senior Bowl, Tyson Anderson out of Toledo. Didn't see as much from him at the Senior Bowl. Kind of wanted to get another look at him, see what his, but want to see what his combine results are or his pro day to see if I should even kind of continue looking at that. Tariq Carpenter out of Georgia Tech. He was at the Senior Bowl. Same thing as Tyson. I just want to see a little bit more of the combine before I do anything else. And then Will Adams out of Virginia State, HBCU standout, 6'1", at the combine there, 6'1", 186, 10.3 broad jump, 40.5 vert, 21 reps. He ran a 4.57, which I think he's probably faster than that. He didn't really have a lot of time to get ready for it, but I just want to get some more film on this guy, see what he can actually do. It's hard to kind of find that. So if anybody has any, send it out there. But those are just some honorable mentions at the safety position or nickelback positions, that type of thing. So some guys to kind of keep an eye on at the upcoming combine. Like I said, I really like the safety class. The way it's shaping up right now. I mean, free agency. Wide receiver would be great to get an X-type receiver. There's some good, solid receivers throughout the throughout the draft. But if we wanted to get a group difference maker, Drake London or Traylon Burks would be the two guys at the first round. So if we miss out on Adams or Robinson, right now to me that would be the most logical, best pick for us in the first round, just because you go down and some of the other X receivers are some question marks about him. George Pickens I really like, but injuries and some other concerns with him. Um, David Bell out of Purdue, can he separate, that type of thing? But he's a true X type receiver. Christian Watson, I mean, I would take him in the second round. So, I mean, I would feel good about him playing the X for us. But after that, it gets a little thinner and some more question marks that come up. Jalen Tolbert is a possibility there at that position. Dejane Dixon, again, I highlighted him in the sixth round. Josh Johnson, I think, can play a little X, play slot, that type of thing. But yeah, there's some other ones in there as well. If we look at the quarterback, I mean, really looking at Derrick Stingley and uh, Derek Stingley, the injury concerns are kind of real. Sauce Gardner is there, Kyler Gordon, and there's some guys that could potentially be lockdown guys, but you know we should definitely look at maybe picking that position up as well. Interior defensive line, I really like the interior defensive line class. I think it's pretty solid throughout. I know some people kind of were somewhat down on it, but I actually think it's a pretty good class. Maybe not as dominant as some years past, but there's some really good players in there. Some guys that can step into stars, some good guys that for depth as well. So it's not a bad class of the interior defensive line. The offensive line, depth, but a little suspect on the star power, especially once you get past the first few 3 or 4 tackles. And you get past, Kenny Green and Linderbaugh, and then it kind of and Zion Johnson. I think they're the top guys, but there's a few other guys there too that probably could surprise a little bit. The linebacker group I really like. Maybe not as much for the edge. There's some good edge guys at the top, but the linebacking core in general I think is pretty solid. I don't mind the linebacking group. Safety group to me is a really strong group. The running back group, I love the running back group. We'll talk about that next time. I think there's some really great depth at running back, which is perfect because if we do draft one or UDFA, we're still going to get a really good productive running back. Tight end group, I like that too. It's pretty deep. Even if we were to draft a late round tight end, um, there may not be the star power of Pitts, but there are some really good tight ends in the class, and especially blocking tight ends, which I think is kind of what we need anyway. So I think we can find a really good one late in the late rounds. And then we'll round out with the quarterback as well. Pick out a backup or a third string quarterback as well, maybe later in the draft, but hopefully a UDFA type. So we'll kind of go over that next. So yeah, anyways, please like, share, subscribe to the video, comment. If I missed anybody out, missed anybody that you like, if you have any comments about the guys I mentioned. And that type of thing. But yeah, we're Tuesday starts the NFL Combine, so definitely we'll be updating our list here and probably taking some guys off, or maybe adding some guys, maybe moving some guys up and down our board here at the Raider roster report, and just trying to build the best team that we can for the Raiders. And so that's all I have today, guys. Everybody have a great day.